Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lysha from Lysha Be Creative, and today is day 2 of my 8 Days of Christmas video series. So thank you for coming back and joining me in this super fun video series where I put together a tutorial for every day for the next 8 days. So in today's tutorial, we are doing yet another snow globe tumbler tutorial. I did one of these back in October with a Halloween theme, and now it's time to redo that tutorial, but let's make it winter themed. So I absolutely love putting these floating glitter snow globe tumblers together. They're so much fun and they make fantastic gifts for the holiday season. So of course, everything I use in today's tutorial will be listed and linked down in the description box below. Make sure you check that description box out for discount codes to all the products that I like to use in my everyday crafting, as well as links to my social media. So let's go ahead and get started on day 2 of the 8 Days of Christmas. Okay, so we are starting with these 32-ounce double-walled acrylic tumblers that I purchased from Amazon forever ago. And so we're going to take one of those and we are going to drill our holes into the bottom. So the first thing I like to do is I like to just go over the entire cup with some rubbing alcohol and just clean that off so I make sure that I'm working with a clean surface. Next, I'm going to take my Black & Decker drill with a 1/4-inch drill bit and I'm going to be drilling 2 holes. So the tip for drilling your holes is definitely make sure that you are drilling slow to start and you have a firm grip on your cup. The worst thing that could happen is that you accidentally miss with that drill and go directly into your hand, so definitely make sure that you're using proper precaution. If you need help with drilling holes, definitely find someone who is more comfortable using a drill to get your holes drilled into the bottom of your tumbler. Once the first hole is drilled, I'm going to do the exact same thing directly across that hole for the second drill hole. So you definitely want to make sure that you get any of the plastic or acrylic out of those holes. So I like to use my little weeding tool to get any of the pieces that are stuck around the hole out, and then I love to tap the tumbler to get the rest of the small plastic pieces out. Alright, so now it's time to fill these with glitter. So I'm using 2 glitters today, Mistletoe Kisses from Maisha Creations and then Cotton Candy from Glitter Makes It. And I am just going to fill that bottom portion of the tumbler with glitter and then tap away to get that glitter to land into the holes and down along the side of that inner wall. So you definitely can use like a weeding tool or something sharp to kind of help you get those pieces in. I just find that tapping is the easiest for me. It then is less messy, so I'm not getting glitter flying all over the place. And the rule of thumb for putting glitter in your tumbler is you definitely want to make sure you don't overindulge and add too much glitter. I kind of eyeball this, but my rule of thumb is for my smaller tumblers, I typically only use 2 full medicine cups worth of glitter. And for my larger tumblers, something like this, I can go up to about probably 3, maybe 3.5, depending on what style mix. So because these are chunky, and I know that sometimes chunky glitter can kind of clump to itself, I'm only going to use 2 kind of filled to the brim medicine cups worth of glitter. So I'm just going to tap away all of the glitter into my tumblers, and then I will kind of let this sit for a bit so that I can get my solution ready for adding to the tumbler. Now that our tumbler is filled with glitter, we're going to mix up our solution. So I have some vegetable glycerin that I purchased off of Amazon, and I have a measuring cup that I just have on hand, and I'm going to mix together equal parts of my vegetable glycerin with my water. So I am using a 1-to-1 mix here. So I have a 2/3 cup mixture that I have, or measuring cup that I'm using. And so I'm doing equal parts of that vegetable glycerin with my water. And once I get those 2 in the cup, I'm going to take my time to make sure that I have thoroughly mixed up my solution and that there's no stringiness, that there's no kind of ribbons in the solution, and that it is clear through and through. Once I spent a few minutes mixing, it's now time to get the solution into my tumbler. So I like to use a party syringe, which you can find in the party section at Walmart, and I use this to kind of syringe up my solution and then put this into my tumbler. You could also use pipettes, which is something you can order off of Amazon. I just like this because it's a larger volume of solution that I can put in my cup at a time. So once I get that first syringe full of my solution in there, I like to tap away at the bottom section to just get that glitter moving, because the glitter has sat for a little bit, and so it's kind of packed down at the bottom, and I want to make sure that I am allowing all of the air to escape from in between all of the glitter down that's compacted at the bottom. So once I've kind of tapped away and released a lot of the air, I'm going to continue to fill this until I get just about to the very top. And as soon as I get to the top, I will tilt my cup in one direction just to make sure I am filling it as far as I can. And then I'm going to let this sit for 24 hours to gas off and all the air to be released. Now that my tumbler is filled with the solution, we're going to seal this tumbler. So I am just cleaning off the bottom of the tumbler with some 91% alcohol. I want to make sure that this is nice and squeaky clean and that it's not slippery from the vegetable glycerin solution. So as I've done before, I'm going to be using UV resin to plug up the holes on the bottom of this cup. This is just UV resin that I picked up from Amazon forever ago. I still have quite a few bottles left, so I've been trying to use those in lots of these various projects. So the way that I like to seal up these holes is I like to drizzle the UV resin around the opening or hole first and then directly over the hole or opening. And I'm paying close attention to make sure none of that solution is bubbling back up through the UV resin, and if it is, I'm wiping that off and then starting again. I'm also being mindful to pay attention and make sure that I am not creating a dome that is going to create a bubble, which would create an uneven cup. Once I have that layer of UV resin, I'm going to cure this for 1 to 2 minutes to make sure that it is nice and hard, and then I'm going to do a check to make sure I don't have any leaks in my UV resin. So I'm going to flip over my cup and ensure that there's no holes. And with this particular cup, I did have just a very slight teeny tiny hole, which was creating some of the solution was coming out of the bottom. So I'm going to go back over that section in another thin layer of UV resin to make sure that I have plugged up and sealed so that the solution stays inside of the tumbler. With that layer now cured, I'm going to do another test just to make sure that this is nice and sealed. And now that I know that it's secure, I'm going to give it a nice good shake to make sure that I am releasing all of that glitter that may still be compacted towards the top of the tumbler. So now she is nice and pretty, and it's time to move on to decals. The decals that I'm using today are some leftovers from my last tutorial, my snowflakes, and then I printed Let It Snow from Cricut Design Space. It's already a hand-lettered file in the image options. So I'm going to be working with the Let It Snow first, since that's going to be our main decal. So I'm going to put that right in the middle of the cup, and just like I always do, I am smoothing from the inside out and then removing that transfer tape. And then of course we'll go in with the snowflakes that I had left over from yesterday's tutorial. And then the last thing that I have here is I have some stickers that I got from the scrapbook section in Hobby Lobby. So stickers have kind of been the new thing that I have been loving to add to tumblers. The clear ones specifically, because then you don't get that white border around them. But these are some super cute blue snowflakes that I found in the scrapbook section, and I thought, why not add these to this snow globe tumbler? So I'm just going to finish adding all of the decals to my cup, and then we will go on to working with the top. So before we can actually move on to decorating our top, I am going to seal off this bottom for good. So although we have UV resin down there and it is sealed up very well so that the solution doesn't come out, I want to make sure that we don't end up with any leaks over time. So I'm going to take my fast setting epoxy and I'm going to mix a little bit of fairy dust from Shop Vinyl Gallery. I will make sure to link that down in the description box, the website to check out those glitters. And I'm going to take this epoxy and fill up that divot down at the bottom. So I'm making sure to fill the epoxy and use my metal stirring stick to really spread that out along the bottom edge to edge of that circle, making sure to make a thin layer and not create any sort of dome or abnormality that would create a wobbly bottom after it's cured. So once that has been done, I'm going to take my torch and of course pop any bubbles, and now we can move on to the top. So I'm really excited to show you what I did with this top. So you'll see that I just measured that inner circle, and I measured it at about 3 inches around, and I printed a snowflake that I got just from Cricut Design Space about 3 inches in width. So it's not quite 3 inches in height, and that's okay because then I can make sure that it's not going to go over that inner circle. But we're going to kind of bling this top like I normally do, but we're only going to bling this snowflake. So because there's that hole in the middle, I'm going to take my craft knife and cut out that hole in the center and just around that inner edge there with that little lifting area that fits your straw to get this to be able to be smoothed down around that inner circle. So I hope that makes sense. But if you look at the tops, you know it's a little bit raised, at least on the ones that aren't the Starbucks brand. So I want to make sure that obviously this vinyl that I have here is very laid down flat so that I don't have any issues when I'm going to apply my rhinestones. So I'm just going to take my craft knife and clean that up a little bit so that it looks a little bit better and remove any of that extra vinyl. And now we can go ahead and get started with applying our bling. All right, so I'm getting set up here with all of the different sizes of bling. I have all of these rhinestones, I should say. First, I purchased all of these from Amazon. I think this is considered crystal AB stones, and so I have like 4 different sizes going here because I know that I'm going to do more of a scatter method here like I did with the tree tutorial that I did for my ugly Christmas sweater collab, and I'm going to be using different sizes to kind of fill up all of that vinyl with rhinestones. So of course I'm going to speed this up because this does take quite a bit of time when you are blinging, and definitely, as I've said before, just take your time, put on your favorite jams, and just kind of bling away. Blinging can be really fun. It definitely is something that's more time consuming than physically working on a cup because you're able to work on a cup in stages. But I do love to bling every once in a while because I just love that sparkly look. So I'm just going to finish the last bit of rhinestoning for this snowflake. And you guys know, of course, I will list all of the different sizes rhinestones that I used, as well as where I purchased them, and of course, some other suppliers that you may want to check out in case you are really looking to get into blinging. Blinging is so much fun, and I loved putting this little top together. It was definitely something that was a little bit unique, a little bit different, and I just love how it came out and all together. So once I'm done with this, I will put my cup on the turner and do 2 coats of epoxy just to seal in that vinyl, as this will not be a personal cup. It will be something that I will be posting on my Etsy shop. But I just love how cute this little set came out. I hope that you enjoyed today's second day for my 8 days of Christmas, and make sure you stay tuned to tomorrow for day 3.